set to show you some ideas using Tonic Craft Kit number 10. I'm calling this 4 ways with the banner dies. Once you get your kit home, you will see that you've got stamps and other extra products, the cardstocks and other things that you'll see, but you get these 2 die sets, and amongst the die sets is a set of 3 banner dies in 3 different widths. You can see them here. So I'm just going to use the 3 banner dies to create 4 different cards. I'll show you them and then I'm just going to talk through each individual one. So the first one is this one with chevrons. The second one is using them as a background to base our design onto. The next one is to create a rosette, or you could easily put this on a card. And the last one is creating a shaker card. So let's go through each of them and I'll show you how to make them. For this first set, this first project, we are using all of the colours that come with the kit, with the exception of adding in black. You'll also need some of the Nouveau embossing powder, and you're going to need some sort of sentiment stamp. I'm using one of the new sets that Tonic have brought out. Let me just put this thing back. Here you are, hopefully you can see it. This one is called Sparkle, and I'm using the sentiments from this. So the great thing about the banner die is that it's open-ended. So depending on the size of cardstock you want, you can do it one way and then flip it around and get a really long banner. But the beauty of the banner dies is that when you take them and you get your basic piece of cardstock on the bottom, when you stack them together, you create chevrons, which means that it's a really cool way of creating a card that is perfect for male or female. Obviously you can have them anyway if you want them to look like sort of go faster stripes, or if you want to have them this way. All you need to do is just cut out different ones, and it's a great way of using up the scraps. And all you're going to do is just add a little bit of glue and you're just going to layer them. And obviously having different gaps between each of the layers means that it adds interest to the card. So that's the first idea. So obviously you can use all the pretty cardstock that comes with the kit, and you're just going to add layer upon layer, and then you're just going to stamp the sentiment at the bottom with the heat embossing powder, and that's your first card done. The second card is by using the banners to create an interesting background to pop your focal point on. You can see from the flowers here, some of you might remember this from Craft Kit 5, but any floral or other designs that you've got would do. And I've just obviously started off with my background. I'm going to get other colour strips, so just add a little bit of glue. Pop that on like that. Trim the tops. And I'm going to build it up with the different layers, with the different colours. For the flowers, all I've done is I've cut them out in white cardstock, and then I've added some Aquaflow colours. I've watercoloured those just onto the middles, sort of dragging the colours out towards the end. And then I've used some of the Nouveau drops that you get in the kit, these 2 beautiful colours, and I've just used those for the insides of my flowers. Obviously you could add a sentiment on the bottom there, but that just creates a really fresh spring or summer-like card that is quick and easy, not much effort required in those, but it gives a really fresh, inspired look to your card. So that's the second card. The third idea is to make this rosette. You could easily leave the little tails off, and you could put that as the main focus on an ordinary card. In order to do this, I've just cut out lots and lots of individual pieces, and I've used the smaller shapes in the middle, graduating out to the larger shapes. And you can see here that I've actually just gently bent round with my thumb in the middle, my finger rather in the middle, to give it a little bit of dimension too. Now, this is really easy. I came up with a really clever, well, not clever trick, but a quick and easy tip for making sure that all of these are at the same depth coming out from the central circle. So all I did was I die cut the circle. I've just used the Tonic Basic Elements circle dies, and I've created the one for the shape in the middle, And then I've created a larger circle that I've just cut out of some spare cardstock that I'm going to use as the measuring. Now I wanted it not the textured side, I wanted it the flat side. So I'm using the textured side upwards because that's what I'm going to stick all the bits onto. And all I've done, I mean, you could use repositionable adhesive. I've just put a little bit of blue tack in the middle there and centered it. So that is acting as my guide. And when you're positioning them, the best way I found of doing it so that you made sure that it's nice and equal all the way around was simply to add them at like on the points of a clock. So all I'm going to do is pop the first one there. Can you see the edges of my banner at the bottom are just touching the outside of the circle? So that's the first one. You can see I'm doing it upside down. The reason I'm doing it upside down is obviously it's the other side that I'll be showing at the end. So pop that on there. So I'm going to do it as if it was at 6 o'clock or north, south, east, west, whichever one you wanted to do. So that's the next one. And I'm just going to keep working so that I know that I've got them all built up, and it just gives me an idea then of how many I'm actually going to need. So you build it up that way. So obviously I'm going to do 4, and then I'm going to take it to do the midway point. Okay, so I can see there that that's an equal point between those two parts. And then I can either put 1 there or actually put 2. So actually put 2 more in between both of those. And it means that when you remove it, assuming they've all stuck down, you know that all of these are exactly the same distance sticking out. And then all I would do is I'd use this one before I've stuck it down, and I would add my next set, which is my blue, and I would do exactly the same. So I got a slightly larger circle than that, measured it all the way around and continued on. I actually had those 2 layers separated by foam. So you end up with that. I mean, this would be great as a sunshine as well. If you're putting something like that with those, that would look like a really nice sun with the rays coming out. So there are lots of ways to be creative, and obviously the sentiment is using the font die that comes in the kit as well. I've just used the simpler die, simpler shape rather, to put happy birthday on, and then I've added some more of the Nouveau drops. Don't do as I did and leave it drying that way, because I had a little bit of they decided to go south when I did that. So always when your Nouveau drops are drying, leave them flat so you don't end up with a slightly bodged deal like this. But I mean, this would be cute if you put if I put this layer on there, that would mean that I've got that secured and all of the sort of ugly edges are hidden. And if you wanted to put a badge on, if you just wanted to put birthday boy, birthday girl, this could be something that the recipient could wear as well. So that's another idea, and that's using obviously all of the different sizes of the banner die. So on to my last idea. So this one is a contemporary shaker card. Everyone loves a good shaker card. I've made it so I've got 3 individual parts, but I mean, if you didn't want to do that, you could just do it as one complete shape, and you just have them mixing from each of those. So to do that, you need a piece of cardstock, and then you would just add your dies, run them through. Obviously, best is that you do it once, one die at once, so they don't end up moving, but obviously I would stick them down with some low tack tape until you're left with these shapes onto your piece of cardstock. Then you're going to need to put a piece of acetate. So you're going to stick your piece of acetate onto the wrong side of the card. And then once you've done that, you're going to need to get some foam tape. I just snipped mine so that it fitted with the channels that were already made. But as I say, if you were just wanting to do it as a single layer and you couldn't be bothered to put the foam tape there, you could just put the foam tape around the edges. The one thing you do need to do, because they are an open-ended die, you obviously haven't got a top part there. So you need to make sure that you're putting a layer of foam tape at the top so that your little sequins or shapes don't actually fall out. So just make sure that you've got a piece at the top. So you've got them all the way around, and then obviously you need to put some parts all the way around the extra bits, the outside bits. And you're going to need to put a piece of cardstock. I just put a piece of embossed card just gives it a bit more interest, because obviously I'm leaving most of the card blank and white because this is the style that I prefer. So once you've got a piece of cardstock to put over the top, you are going to need to put in your shaker elements, and I've just used these beautiful sequins and confetti from Nouveau. They come in beautiful little glass bottles, so I've just added a different one in each of the sections, and then you just add your piece of cardstock. So it was this, you'd cut it down to either the same size, or if you wanted to spare the rest of the cardstock, just cut a smaller amount down, and then you're going to want to stick that on the top. Now what I did then on this piece, I got a small piece of cardstock, a similar size to this, and just stuck it on there so that you couldn't see the foam tape. And to make sure that you really couldn't see what I'd done, that's why I added the ribbon. We don't tend to use ribbon so much anymore, but I've used the ribbon by putting it over the top, and that has the added benefit of hiding it as well as looking pretty. And then you're going to mount the whole thing onto your card base. And I've used, again, the stamp set that I was using before, this sparkle set. I've just used the Best Wishes, stamped it onto one of the banner pieces that I'd already cut out, and that goes on there like that, and then just finished off with a few random Nouveau drops. So I think you'll agree that just with the tiny shapes, I mean, these banners dies, to look at them, don't look very exciting, but actually when you start to play around with them, you can see that they produce a whole wealth of effects and ideas. And I can't wait to see what you guys come up with when you get the kit. Don't forget to tag us on the Tonic Facebook group. And by all means, leave some comments. We love to know what you're doing or what you think of our projects. And I'll be back soon with ideas for the next kit. Thanks for watching. Bye.